Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to talk about Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer, the Games Workshop subscription box that was a big hit over in the UK, and now it's available for pre-order stateside here in the US. So with all of the hubbub, I wanted to kind of break this down, do a little bit of cost analysis, and talk through, whether or not it's worth, signing up for the subscription. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how this works. So the subscription service runs over 80 issues. You get 4 issues per month for 20 months, and your 4 issues for each month are going to be delivered together in a single shipment. So each issue of the magazine, you're going to get the magazine itself with articles covering lore, how to play guides, construction guides, and painting guides. You're also going to get either models or paints and supplies, possibly sometimes both in the same shipment. One of my gripes, and we'll talk about that later, is that in all of the promotional material on the Stormbringer website, on Warhammer Community, it doesn't actually tell you exactly what you get in each issue. You have to actually subscribe, and then I believe it's in some of your magazines. It'll detail everything that you will eventually receive. Now, the base cost is $13.99 USD per issue. They do have some discounts though. Your first issue is only $6.99, and your second issue is free. Now, shipping is going to be $2.50 per issue. Since they're sending you 4 issues per month, that's going to come out to $10 per month. Now, there's also a premium upgrade option, which this is kind of interesting, and we'll dig into it a little bit later. The cost is going to be an extra $3 per issue, but for that, you're going to receive 7 extra model kits that are going to be spaced out over the life of your subscription. So to get the maximum benefit from that, you have to keep your subscription active through the full 80 issues. So if you end up, canceling early, you're going to lose some of your benefit from paying that upgrade. But if you keep it through the whole, 80 issues, there are some pretty spicy minis that they're throwing in there for you. And then also, if you pre-order, you get a bonus figure, a unit commander, special issue model that they made specifically for Stormbringer. All right, so now that we know how this all works, let's actually dig into the contents of what you're going to receive. Now, if you all can do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. So this actually took a whole hell of a lot of work. There is a very tiny promo image that they're using that has super low res zoomed out image of all of the minis that you're getting, and I had to go through that image with a fine-tooth comb and compare, these little tiny worse than 8-bit sprites to actual miniatures on the Games Workshop website, research on Reddit and whatnot to figure out what you were getting, and then look up all of the prices. So do me a favor, hit that like button if you're enjoying the content. So let's start out with the Order Allegiance, half of the minis. So for the Stormcast Eternals, which are going to be sort of the main faction on the Order side, you get a whole heap of hero characters. So Gardas Steelsoul, the Lord Aquilor, Lord Commander Bastion Carthalos, a Lord Imperator, a Knight Judicator, a Knight Arcanum. You're going to get that Stormstrike Chariot, a unit of Stormdrake Guard, which I absolutely love those minis. I need to get myself a box of those. You're also going to get some Warhammer Underworld units, so you're going to get the Xandir's Truth Seekers. You're also going to get a box of Praetors, Vindictors, Gryph-hounds, and then you get a half box of Vigilors and a half box of Vanquishers. Now, you're also going to get some allied units, so you're going to get some Sylvaneth mixed in there, and you're going to get some Caradron Overlords mixed in. Again, they include some Warhammer Underworld units. You also get a couple of heroes on both sides. And your total MSRP value for all of this on the order side is $1,152.50. So as you can see, it's a pretty hefty inclusion of units. Now let's take a look over at the destruction side of the house. Alright, so the main faction over for the Destruction Allegiance is going to be the Auric War Clans. I believe when Stormbringer first came out, the War Clans were separate at that point. So you had the Ironjawz, and then you had the Cruel Boys. Shortly after it was released, all of those miniatures were kind of bundled into one army book, or one battle tome rather. The Auric War Clans. So you're going to get an Ironjawz Mega Boss. You're going to get Swamp Boss Scumdrek, the Dominion Killaboss with Stabgrot, as well as the Swamp Kalla Shaman, a unit of Gut Rippers, a unit of Hobgrot Slitters, and so you get one box of 20, and then they split them into two 10-man units. You're going to get a unit of Manskewer Boat Boys, Beast Skewer Killbow, Marshcrawler Sloggoth, the Warhammer Underworld unit, the Cunning Crew, an Ironjawz War Chanter. Now, with the Ard Boys, I do want to call out, you only get a third of the old out-of-print sculpts. And then you get the Iron Skulls Boys, another Warhammer Underworld unit. Now, for their allies, you get the Gloomspite Gits, and you actually get a fair amount of them. So you've got Skadgrot the Loon King, Loon Boss, the Loon Boss on Giant Cave Squig, the Fungoid Cave Shaman, Shooters, Boingrot Bounders, the Squig Herd, Sneaky Snufflers, which I believe is a Warhammer Underworld unit, the Loon Smash of Fanatics, an Ale Guzzler Gargant, Zarbag's Gits, and Mollog's Mobs, and those last two are also Warhammer Underworld units. So the total MSRP value on the destruction side is going to clock in at $1,139.50. But wait, there's more. You also get some terrain in your subscription. So these terrain kits are both out of print. This is the only place that you can get them, unless you can, find them in your local gaming store, or, luck up and find them online if you wanted them. So the first one is the Realmscape Nexus Siphon. Retails for $60 if you could still find it. And now the next one's a little weird. So most of the remaining pieces, the big pieces, specifically the building segments and the statues, come from the Thondian Strongpoint kit. And what they've done, they took out the rest of the Thondian Strongpoint kit and threw in a bunch of scattered terrain. So rather than try and figure out the exact value of all of the scattered terrain pieces, I already spent more time than I wanted to dedicated to research. It kind of felt to me that, with what they took away and what they added in, just using the value of the Thondian Strongpoint box made sense. So I left that there. So for your terrain, you're clocking in with a total MSRP value of $300. And now let's talk about those paints and supplies. So you're going to get a mug, which you can use as a water pot. You're going to get a bottle of plastic glue, which is necessary for building your minis. A set of precision side cutters, or snips as we like to call them in the business. You're going to get 3 white-handled starter brushes. I think you get a layer brush. It wasn't actually detailed anywhere, but it's that black brush that's in the picture. You'll get a texture paint tool. You'll get a Stormbringer branded binder where you can put like your unit stat cards inside. I don't really have a price point for what that would be worth since there's no other way to get it. So I just ignored the value of it in my calculations. For paints, you're going to get 9 contrast / shade size paint pots. So about $70 worth of paint there. And then you're going to get 25 of the regular small sized Citadel paint pots, which will clock in at $113.75, which for your paint and supplies gives you a total MSRP value of $326.20. Now let's talk about that spicy premium upgrade. So, like we said in the beginning, it's going to be an extra $3 per issue. So, all told, 80 issues. It's going to get you up for an extra $240. But what you get for that $240 is actually really, really good. So, you're going to get Krondus, son of Dracothion. Yeah, I probably butchered that. That's a $170 kit right there. You're going to get Gordrak, Fist of Gork on his giant wyvern. That's a $130 kit right there. You're also going to get a Grunstock Gunhauler for the Caradron Overlords, an Etheric Navigator, a unit of Sky Wardens, and then over on the Gloomspite Git side, you're going to get a Dankhold Troggoth and a Rockgut Troggoth. So total MSRP value for all of those minis combined is going to be $583.50, which, you know, as you can see, you're getting that for $240. On paper, it seems like a good deal. All right, so we've laid out all of the value of everything, so let's go ahead and do that cost analysis. So over on the left with the basic subscription, you've got a total MSRP value of $2,918.20. The actual cost of your subscription is only going to be $1,298.21 because you got your 78 issues at $13.99 per issue. You get that one issue for $6.99, one issue for free, and then you've got your 80 shipping charges, and that's going to give you a total discount of 55.5% roughly over buying everything at retail, which is absolutely massive. Games Workshop almost never releases anything with that deep of a discount to the public. That's actually really, really close to, you know, a retailer discount, you know, buying their product from Games Workshop to sell in their, you know, gaming stores. Now, over on the premium subscription side, your total MSRP value, once you add in the premium minis, it's going to be $3,501.70. Your actual cost is going to jump up to $1,538.21, which is still roughly about a 56% discount, which again is absolutely massive. All right, so as a longtime Warhammer fan, you know, if you told me that I was going to be able to buy my minis with a 55% discount, One, I'd tell you that you were crazy, and two, I would throw my wallet at you and ask you, where do I need to go? However, I'm not so enthused about Stormbringer. So here are some of the issues that I personally have with the subscription service. So let's talk about it. So up front, uh, they don't tell you what you're buying up front. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, you just get a low res image, super wide shot of everything, and then you have to, kind of look up what all of that is and figure that out yourself. Which, I mean, that's just not good. There's literally no one on the planet that would advise you to kick out over $1,000 for something, and you don't know what you're getting for your money. So that's my first issue. Second issue, so your quote unquote free gifts, which include, some of these supplies that you actually need to build your minis, you don't get those all in your first shipment, which is just really strange, and I don't know why well, I have ideas as to why they structured it this way, but it's just not conducive to bringing new people into the hobby. So, for instance, your snips and your glue come in your second shipment. So you pay your money, you wait 2 months. So now you've got 8 issues of the magazine with all of the minis that come with all of those issues, and then you're able to clip them off of the sprue and put them together with your glue. But that's not the only snafu. So your mug, which again, most people in the hobby use mugs as water pots for cleaning their brushes, you don't get that until your fourth shipment. So you're 4 months in until you get the Stormbringer branded water pot that's supposed to help you paint. And then so now you do get a brush, one single brush, that layer brush, in your first issue, but remember, you can't actually put your miniatures together at that point. You just got plastic sprues and a brush. You get your extra free gift 3 brush set in your sixth shipment. So, if you wanted the wash and dry brush and all of that, you have to wait until you're 6 months in, which again, it's just a really bad experience for someone new coming into the hobby with this product. And I don't know, it baffles me. I don't know why that decision was made. So my next big gripe is you don't get any match play rules. So I'm a narrative gamer at heart. I love my narrative play. But I mean, if I'm going to play war games with other people, doesn't even matter what the rules system is. Like, you kind of need matched play to make sure that there's a balanced, fair experience. Now, you can turn matched play, into a narrative experience and spin a story and everything, and that's great, and that's what I do a lot of the time. But you don't get any of the match play rules in this subscription. So you don't get battle tomes for any of the 5 armies that they're giving you miniatures for. So that means that if you buy the subscription and that's your entry point, and then you want to play with people at your local gaming store, which here in America, that's typically how wargamers get to play their games. You need to now go buy 5 very expensive books so that you know all of your army rules. Uh, the other issue with that is that more than likely, these books are going to be updated within the time frame before your subscription is over. So, because Games Workshop games typically go on a 2 to 3 year release cycle between editions, and during that time frame, all of the battle tomes get updated, chances are you're going to end up buying a book, and then within a few months to a year, while your subscription is still active, mind you, you are going to end up, having a book that you can't use anymore and have to go buy another one. So I think that's a really huge missed opportunity there. And then lastly, your paints that they give you are spread out over the life of your subscription. So, for instance, for your early minis, um, I believe it's in your first shipment, maybe issue 2 or 3 or something like that. They give you, I think, 2 or 3 paints. I think you get a gold, you get a silver, and you get green. And you can't finish painting your miniatures. That again, you can't even put them together yet. But you can't, if found someone who told you, hey, here's an extra pair of snips so that you can actually use the plastic that you purchased, and here's some glue. You don't have all the paints that you need to go ahead and finish painting your miniatures, which means you're going to have to make additional purchases on top of Stormbringer in order to actually enjoy what Stormbringer is supposed to be giving you. And that's just a really huge feels bad when you introduce somebody to something and they get really excited about it, and they're looking forward to every month they get their box and they're ready to crack it open and get building and painting, and then you have to stop because you need to go to the store and kick out more money for things that you didn't even know that you would need. The other issue here is more than likely you're going to end up with duplicate paint pots. So, if let's say you bought some browns so that you can paint sort of the raggedy, cloaks and things that the Cruel Boys wear. Well, more than likely, Stormbringer is going to send you a brown paint at some point down the line, and it's probably going to be one that you already bought, since you're most likely the only paint line you're going to be familiar with is Citadel. So I feel like that's another huge missed opportunity there as well. You probably should have put the paints in the earlier issues so that people can build up that paint collection relatively quickly. So continuing forward, so Age of Sigmar Dominion is still a thing. So the two primary factions in Stormbringer, so you've got the Stormcast Eternals and you got the Auric War Clans. Well, those were the two factions that featured in the third edition Age of Sigmar launch box, AOS Dominion. And Games Workshop produced way too many of those boxes, so there's actually still a flood of them on eBay for $100, $120 US, free shipping. So unless you live in California, that's literally all you're paying. You don't even have to pay tax on it, and you get an absolute truckload of minis for both sides in that box. And more importantly, you get minis that you can actually use to build an actual legal army on the table. In that same vein, all of these factions all have Vanguard boxes already, which are again another starter product that was meant to get you into the game for a slightly discounted price and give you units that you can actually use to build a legal, army for your faction. We're also coming up on the Christmas season, and every year, Games Workshop releases their Christmas battle boxes or Battle Force boxes. Actually, that's the Warhammer 40k term. I forget what the AOS term, but it's the same deal. It's a box where they put in a crap ton of minis for a faction, and it's discounted. Usually somewhere around 30%. It's a pretty nice discount. And that's also another really great way to start an army for a lot cheaper than what Stormbringer is going to cost you in the long run. So my last sort of sticking point on this is, so for the cost that you're paying, roughly around $1,500, you don't actually get a usable 2,000 point match play army by the time you're done. So the collection of miniatures that they're giving you is very, very hero heavy, and there's no way that you're going to use all of these heroes in a match play game. The rules literally just won't let you. There's lots of Warhammer Underworld warbands, which are widely panned in Age of Sigmar proper for being subpar units. Usually, your faction standard battle line units will perform better for you a lot of the time. They also give you too many allied units. So let's take the order side of the field, for example. So your main faction is going to be Stormcast Eternals. You've got a pool of allies that you can select from in your Sylvaneth and your Kharadron Overlords. But the main AOS game has a rule where you can only take one allied unit for every 4 units of your main faction. So you can't even use all of the allies that they gave you because the list building rules just simply won't let you. So since you can't really jump into the match play community straight from Stormbringer, you're actually going to miss out on, by and large, the Age of Sigmar community. Most people play match play when they play friendly games at their local game store here in the US. And a lot of people also will play in tournaments, which are based on match play as well. Now, in a friendly game, your friends might be more willing to kind of bend the rules and just bring you in, and house rule some things to where you can just play with what you've got. They won't make a big deal out of it, which is kind of reminiscent of open play, which is the third way of playing these games, where you just kind of grab what you got and throw it on the table. But if you are hoping to play in a tournament, you're not going to be ready with what this collection gives you. All right, so now that we've kind of analyzed everything, let me kind of walk through my thoughts on, who is the target audience for this? Because it feels just slightly unfocused. All right, so who does GW want to sell this to? Well, according to them in their Warhammer community article, everyone. It's designed for new players, which, we just talked about my thoughts on why a new player would be frustrated with this. But they also mentioned that it's for existing collectors and painters as well. Now, in my opinion, who should consider passing on this? So anyone who wants to play matched play in their local game store, i.e. the traditional wargame mode. Any competitive players that love playing in tournaments, this is probably going to be a huge miss for you. Anyone who obviously, if you like Allegiance Chaos or Allegiance Death, well, those minis aren't here. So you're obviously going to pass on this. Anyone who likes elves with the fancy Games Workshop spelling, there are no elves here. And also anyone who likes fantasy humans, those aren't here as well. So who could actually benefit from this? So I don't want people to think like I'm a GW hater or anything like that. I do actually believe that this product does have a place for certain people. I think Warcry players would benefit from this enormously. So you get a huge smattering of different minis from over 5 different factions. And within Warcry, which is a skirmish game with a lower model count, you can absolutely, use most of these miniatures in Warcry. You can use the terrain in Warcry. This is probably a Warcry player's, dream to be able to get, huge discounts like this on a wide variety of miniatures that they can actually directly use in their games and get started with. Now, I think it's also for people who, they love the quality of Games Workshop miniatures, but they shy away from the Games Workshop games. So people who maybe play, Frostgrave or other miniatures agnostic games, but they really love those high quality minis, this might be a good deal for them. And then lastly, anyone who wanted to introduce a loved one into the wargaming hobby. So for instance, if you are a parent who's a wargamer and your young children have kind of been asking you, "Hey daddy, mommy, what's that thing you're painting over there for hours?" and they want to get engaged, this would be a really cool way where every month you get to kind of, get that box, and then every week for the next month, you've got an activity that you can do with your kid, where, they can practice their reading, they're practicing sportsmanship, they're learning how to paint, they're learning how to hobby and how to build things, really pushing their creativity. So this could be a really great product, again, for parents that are looking to get their children into wargaming. All right, so it's not all negative. There are some positives to this. So we already touched on it previously, but having the mixed army selection gives a lot of choice to people who play Warcry. It's also a good place to mention that the Warcry rules for a lot of the warbands, the various allegiances, are available for free. So it doesn't require an extra purchase to use these miniatures in Warcry. You get high quality minis for a relatively, I'm air quoting, you can't see me right now, but I am air quoting, relatively cheap cost. Again, that discount is around 55, 56%, depending on what subscription type you get. Now, if you split the cost of this with a buddy, let's say, you played Stormcast, your buddy played Orc War Clans, maybe you both didn't have all of the minis that come in this. You split that cost in half, and you take your respective factions out of the pool, and that's actually a really good deal that's really hard to beat. And then we already talked a little bit about, if you're a gamer parent, you're looking to hobby with younger kids on a discount, this would be really great for you. Now, things that I think could have made this better or would be great to see in the future. So if they had a faction-specific subscription program, so let's say, you could sign up for Stormcast Eternals. Every month they send you a Stormcast Eternal unit, maybe some extra paints, maybe some new brushes, send you a magazine with some stories, some battle reports or whatever. Hell, they don't even need to create a new magazine, just throw in an issue of White Dwarf. Like, that would be really cool. I would probably jump on something like that because I can choose what faction I want. I know everything I'm going to get. I'll be able to use it. Or if they wanted to stick to that two-player, have opposed forces, just stick to two factions. We don't need allies. Just give me Stormcast versus Orc War Clans, or give me Death versus Chaos. I don't need five factions in this subscription program. Again, it just muddies the waters and makes everything feel really unfocused. My next point, if they included your paints and supplies in your first shipment, so that way you're ready to hit the ground running. Any minis that they send you, you already have everything that you need to build them, to paint them, and you don't have to worry about running out and buying more stuff. My next point, I really wish they included the battle tomes. Not having the battle tomes is a huge disservice to a new person who's coming into the hobby. They're just going to get blindsided by that additional cost after they've already kicked out like $1,500. And then lastly, one thing I think would be really cool in the future is if they had a Warcry specific subscription box. Now that would be awesome. You could vary the miniatures that people are getting every month. Like every month you could get a new warband, and then maybe the magazine issues that they're including kind of give you background on that warband, some painting guides, maybe some gaming tips. That would be really, really dope. All right, so there we have it. That's all my thoughts on Stormbringer. It's going to be a pass for me, but like I said, I think if you were a hobbyist with young children, or if you were really into Warcry, this might actually be really interesting for you. I don't necessarily feel that it is a terrible product. I just feel like there were a couple of little tweaks that they could have made to this to really, really make this a slam dunk. I will say, for what is a relative first in the miniature wargaming space, there have been miniature subscription box services before, but those were always like bespoke, custom collector miniatures, never really a subscription box to like get you onboarded into miniature wargaming. I think it is a really cool idea. It's awesome to see that they made the attempt to do something new, but hopefully they do better in the future. So that's all I've got. Let me know what you think about Stormbringer down in the comments. Are you going to subscribe? Do you know anyone who's going to subscribe? Let me know. Also, a little bonus message for all of you legends that made it to the end of this video. I am super close to 1,000 subs. I think at the time of filming this, I'm hovering somewhere around 850. So for everyone who has supported me over the past couple of years, you're absolute legends. I love you all. And I want to find a way to give back. So what I'm going to do, if you guys can push me to 1,000 subs, when I hit 1,000 subs, I am going to do a giveaway on the channel. I have been sitting on an extra Lionel Johnson model for 40K, and I think that will be the perfect opportunity to go ahead and do a giveaway on the channel. So if you're new here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Help propel me past that 1,000, and I'll do a video with all of the rules on how you can enter the giveaway once we reach that point. All right, but that's all I got for today. Keep gaming, and I will see you in the next video.